All right, so I'm leaving from the landscaping job right now, and I got Jaron and Jew-Man over there. I was cutting a little bit of grass myself. Our rider is burning a little bit of oil. We got a little bit of white smoke coming out of there. I don't know if that's a head gasket or signs of trouble brewing. Our push mower is not that great, and the grass is super wet. Good news is it's not tall at all. Almost looks like it's been cut, but I just think it's been too cold for the grass to really be growing. So shout out to the team. They're over there handling things, and we're getting ready to go meet with a guy that I've been talking quite a bit about, a guy by the name of John. John is a guy who suffered from addiction problems and who is trying to get clean. He's on methadone right now. He's homeless. He's living in his vehicle. I've spoken to him about the Healing Place program and that opportunity, but who knows? Maybe that's a good opportunity for him, and maybe it's not. Regardless, we are going to get a chance to meet John today, hear a little bit of his story, hopefully, and see where he's at. And, you know, what is he trying to do? Is he trying to change, or is he just okay with where he's at? Because one thing about it, we've said it a million times, you can't do nothing for nobody that don't want to do it for themselves. And we're not trying to do anything for anybody except maybe motivate them and give them a couple of options if they do want to do it for themselves, meaning change and get clean. John has also been incarcerated a little bit, so we'll get to hear a little bit of his story for the second time. So let's go meet with this guy. It's been a couple of days in the making. We just could not get together. So let's go see what's going on with this guy. All right, so I just had an opportunity to meet with John. He's actually in the vehicle right in front of mine. He's got a truck with a washer and dryer in it that he's gonna go scrap in a little bit. And we're getting ready to go to where John is staying at right now. He's actually got a hotel. So he's been finding work off of Craigslist, and you know, that's how he's supporting himself. He's got a room for a couple of days. He definitely seems like he's dealing with and has dealt with, you know, quite a bit in relation to addiction problems. I was trying to watch for this truck that was all in my lane. The guy's on the phone. You should be paying attention to the road when you're driving. And yet here's Joe filming. So John seems like a nice enough guy. Definitely sounds like he has dealt with and, you know, appears to be dealing with the whole world of stuff in relation to addiction problems. A guy who has lost everything because of addiction and is just trying to, I guess, basically exist out here. Maybe he's trying to get ahead. Hopefully he is. I think my hope is that with the introduction of this guy, that we would be able to do a follow-up with him maybe in a month, maybe on a monthly basis, just to see where he goes. I've got some options that I've spoken about. The Healing Place, which is the only option that I've got. And he doesn't seem too keen on that idea right now. 9 months is a lot for a person to have to sign on to. Where this guy is staying at, the hotel that we're going to, I've actually had quite a bit of craziness take place at this hotel from back in my heyday. But this isn't about that. This is about the introduction of this guy, John. And when we get to this hotel, we'll be meeting him and hearing his story and hopefully seeing him make some changes in his life. Hopefully he will. I guess that's the hope. And maybe, you know, from sharing this man's story, maybe somebody can get something from this, or maybe realize that, you know, this is not a path that they want to go down. All right, so we are in a hotel room right now, and we are with John. This is where he's staying at temporarily. I guess for the most part, he's living in his vehicle, but when he can afford to do so, obviously he would want to get a room so he's got a roof over his head. But without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to John. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm John. This is first time I've done this, but I'm a drug addict. My choice of drugs is opioids, sometimes amphetamines. Struggling to stay clean, and due to my poor decision making and addiction, this is the situation that's left me in. You know, sleeping in vehicles, living in hotel rooms when I can. You know.
John, first thing I want to say is, you know, I do appreciate your willingness to talk about what's going on with you and your story. It would be my hope to see you get to a better place than where you currently are. And me and you have talked about a couple of options. Well, really the one option that I have, this place called the Healing Place. And, you know, I told you this was a 9-month program, but, you know, you're just not ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, I do need to get into some kind of program to help me out, and I just need some time to think about it. I mean, 9 months is a long time, and you say it's very intense. And I got an 8-year-old son and a wife that I'm trying to work things out with, and I don't think they'd handle it too well if I left for 9 months. So I'd have to talk to them about it and see what we could work out, you know.
Well, I guess the only reason I bring it up is because ultimately, you know, it would be up to you what you do for you.
Yes.
You know, nobody can make somebody change. The change has to come from within yourself. But before we go there, let's talk a little bit about your story, your struggle, and your situation.
Well, I would really say all throughout my late teen years into my 20s, I messed with drugs, you know, cocaine, marijuana, alcohol. I mean, you know, I went through a little stint of alcoholism in the, like I'd say, I don't know, 2005 to 2009. I got a DUI in 2009. It kind of broke me of that drinking habit. Say fast forward to 2011, I met my wife, and you know, I got her pregnant, and she has migraine issues, and the doctor, she was seeing a neurologist, and he recommended giving her Percocet over the typical migraine medication because it was safer for a pregnant woman. Well, that's where the opioid addiction started. She would share her pills with me, and we would get high off of them, and the doctor would continue to give them to her. If she asked for more, he would question her, he would just give them to her. So her sharing her prescriptions with me, it's led to the addiction. I would start going to the ER, faking injuries that I hurt my back and stuff to get a prescription for Percocets or Vicodin, whatever they would give me, you know. And
how many times have you done that?
man, I've probably done that at least 50 times in my life, you know. And
so I can't even imagine what your medical bills are probably like.
well, I know, I didn't have insurance, so I'd go in there, and I just from doctor hopping, as they call it, I probably ruined my credit just from unpaid doctor bills. And eventually the ER doctors catch on to it. They see where you've had stuff filled, and you come in there looking for pills, and they call you out. They call it drug seeking behavior. That's how I'm listed at Chesapeake General, you know. But to be honest, I'm beyond that. You can't even get a pain pill out of the hospital nowadays because the opioid epidemic the attention's been drawn to it. So that's something that don't happen anymore.
So you mentioned around like 2011, 2012 is really when the addiction kicked off for you. It's 2020 now, so you've been dealing with an addiction problem for about 8 years.
Yes.
And in these 8 years, you know, where were you at initially when all of this began in your life? Where were you at? Were you working? Were you stable?
I mean, I was working. I still had irresponsibilities. I mean, because I admit I'm immature, you know, at the time. You know, I didn't take responsibility seriously, like working, keep a stable home, but there wasn't really a drug addiction, you know, just being a knucklehead, I guess, you know, defiant of responsibility. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, I mean, I didn't really have a drug problem at the time. I could say no, and there was really no dependence on a substance, just nicotine, cigarettes. But
so from there,
once I started taking pills regularly with my wife, that's when I become dependent on it. It basically turned into I couldn't get out of bed or do anything until I had some opioids, and that was the first goal of the day, was try to score, whether it was go to the ER or see if her doctor would refill the prescription or hook up with somebody that was selling them, you know. Was
it ever, you know, the heroin, or was it just always the pills?
It was pills. I didn't get into heroin until I'd say fall of 2017. Mm-hmm. I had somebody turn me on to some dope that was, I guess the appropriate word, I don't want to say it's good because none of it's good, but it was actually good. It got me high as gas, and from there on I could get a cap for $10 and it would get me high all day long.
So 2017 was probably when it really got bad for you.
Yeah, when I started using heroin, street drugs.
And have you always been working? Was it, through hustles? Like, how were you supporting your habit?
Well, 2017, I was riding a scooter, a moped, and I got into an accident, broke my leg. And that's another thing. I was getting pain pills from that doctor too. That didn't help nothing. But I was on crutches for a little while. The injury didn't heal, and the doctor wouldn't see me no more because I wouldn't have insurance. I was non-compliant to his order, to keep weight off of it. And I wasn't going to follow-up appointments when I found out I wasn't getting a prescription. And the hardware he put in there broke on me, and I was stuck with a broken leg for over a year. Because it wouldn't heal back together. I was on crutches for a year, and so I would go donate plasma and use the plasma money to buy drugs. Eventually, I got in with a doctor at VCU in Richmond, and they fixed my leg and got more pain pills. That was a year later, 2018, and the heroin addiction continued. Once I healed up, he quit giving me pills. I would continue to buy heroin. Well, my disability money kicked in, and I had a bunch of back pay. That was around this time 2 years ago, 2018.
How much money did you get in disability?
I mean, I didn't know I was getting disability. They had actually started paying me because my mail was going to my in-laws' house, and I'm living on the streets in South Norfolk. So I got approved for the disability and didn't know it for several months. So by the time I found out I had disability, I had like money piled up in an account. I had like almost 11 grand back pay and monthly payments I didn't claim, So by the time I got it, I had almost 11 grand. I went off and did some responsible things. I paid off some fines, money I owed to the courts, got my license straight, but what was left of it, I basically just squandered away on dope until it was gone.
How much money do you think of that 11,000 did you spend on drugs?
I'd say at least half of it. I mean, I don't have an exact number, but I know at least half of it went to the habit.
Throughout these 8 years that you've struggled with addiction, you mentioned that you had gotten in some trouble. Was the trouble, related to the addiction? Do you think that if you weren't dealing with the addiction, that trouble wouldn't have been there?
Well, I mean, yeah, like driving around with a car with no insurance and expired registration, Virginia, they charge you with an uninsured motorist fee if you don't pay your insurance and you don't turn in the tags. I'm riding around with it, and then they suspend your license. I'm riding around with a suspended license, and the fines are just snowballing. Had a suspended license for several years. I don't now, but just getting those repeat offenses, and that's from drug addiction, not being responsible, paying the shit off, and driving legally like everybody else does,
Through these 8 years that you've struggled, has there been any sober time? Has there, like, maybe you were locked up, or maybe you just said enough is enough? Like, have you ever tried to get clean?
Yes, I have. Like 2015, I went to a methadone clinic, and that lasted about a year and a half. I mean, I wanted to get off the methadone. And this is going back to when I got hurt on the moped. I went through, I would still have relapses. I would go out and score pain pills on occasion. But I learned with the methadone's kind of a blocker. If you up at a high enough dose, you won't feel the opioids. If you take like pills or heroin, it kind of blocks it out, so it's pointless. That's one benefit of it. It keeps you clean. But anyway, 2015, I got into a methadone clinic, and I stayed clean for the most part. And then around the end of 2016 into 2017, I started tapering down. I wanted to get out of it because I tried to quit one time, and when you withdraw from methadone, it's like 10 times worse than coming off of pain pills or heroin. It's like a terrible withdrawal. And
that caused you to go back to the drugs?
Yeah, I quit going. I actually tapered down to 8 milligram doses, and I was thinking at 8 milligrams it would be harmless just to quit, and I was wrong. I went through 2 weeks of hell, and I actually scored some pain pills one time. And shortly after that, ironically, I got hurt in a moped accident I was just telling you about. And that doctor was giving me oxycodone right regularly before surgery, after surgery. And that helped lead to a period of using again. And I would say after that, once he cut me off, before I started donating plasma, I was on crutches. I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything. So I got clean not by choice, but just out of the fact that I didn't have money to buy any drugs. You know, I went through a little withdrawal period, and I basically quit cold turkey out of the fact that I couldn't afford to have it until I started donating plasma, and got hooked up with the dope.
You know, in the course of your addiction, where's the worst that you've been? Have you hit rock bottom? A lot of people say you can't get clean until you've hit rock bottom, but I feel like people can hit rock bottom and still continue in the same cycle. You know, where's the worst that you've seen yourself, John?
I'd say rock bottom is when me and my wife both, when I broke my leg, that's about the same time I went homeless. Her mom and dad kicked us out. We ended up on the streets of South Norfolk. It was in February 2017. Just before my surgery I had to have on my leg that I was telling you about, the first surgery. We're on the streets out there. There's a shelter, a winter shelter Chesapeake has called the CAS program, and you basically get on a bus at nighttime and you go stay at a different church. But I would say that was rock bottom, being stuck on the streets of South Norfolk with nowhere to go. I mean, going through withdrawals.
And at that point, did you try to make any changes? Like, hey, you know, I got to do things differently. Did that ever cross your mind?
You know, to be honest, with the frustration and going through withdrawal, the only thing I could think of is, goddamn, I wish I had something. You know, I'm sick. I wish I would kill for a pain pill right now. That's how I felt. I felt like it was hopeless. I was stuck on this broken leg, and I just wanted some opioids, you know. I'm not gonna lie.
You know, fast forward to where you are right now in life. It's 2020. And since I began talking to you, we've only had the opportunity to speak a couple of times. This is our first time getting a chance to meet. But you tell me that you are again on the methadone.
Yeah, last year, 2019, I tried Suboxone. I went to a Right Path. It's a clinic for addiction, and they give out Suboxone. And I got Medicaid insurance. I got Medicare too because I'm on disability, but they accept that insurance, and I was able to get on Suboxone medication. And it helped for a little while, but I'd say around wintertime of last year, it didn't seem like it was helping as much. I started doing other things. I mean, this ain't related to opioids, but I've hooked up with people that use crack. I started smoking crack with people in the homeless program. I started using dope again, and I come to find out the Suboxone just wasn't working for me. And instead of going back to my next appointment, I called a methadone clinic. I got back into the methadone program. It's going on 2 weeks now I've been going, and with the methadone, I feel better. I don't feel the need to use. I mean, it works different for people. Some people prefer Suboxone, some people prefer methadone. I've discovered that the methadone is the best medically assisted treatment for me to stay clean. I mean, so far I've been clean. I mean, last week I slipped up and took some Adderall. It was offered to me. That's another thing. I have a weak mind. You know, you used to put some crack or heroin or amphetamines on that table and say, here you go. I mean, I wouldn't say no. I'd probably take them. I got to work on my willpower.
You know, what do you want for yourself? Do you have any goals? Do you want to be clean? Do you see yourself somewhere better than where you currently are?
To be honest, I'm tired of being a up, man. I'm tired of, you know, I want to be stable, man. I don't want to be somebody that's in the drug scene. I just would like to have steady income, be able to own a home, you know, have my son back, you know, maybe have my wife back if we don't really get along sometimes. I mean, if we could all get along and live a normal life. It's not fair that because of my irresponsibilities, her parents are raising my 8-year-old son. It makes me feel like a piece of shit, and that's because of drug addiction, you know, my bad choices.
So it sounds like you want some things for yourself. You want a normal life. What does it take for John to get a normal life?
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, like you said, it's all about me wanting to change. You know, I want it, but sometimes when you're so deep in, you just don't know how to get out and get on track. You know.
Do you feel like the methadone right now is just a temporary fix?
Yeah, because it's still a substance. You know, you're just filling a void with a substance, but it keeps me legal. You know, fortunately, I haven't had no criminal charges related to drugs, but I was afraid, you know, my luck was going to run out. You know, always pulling on the same corner in Portsmouth every day. sane person getting in my car. One day I was going to get hemmed up with the law over there. You know, that's the thing with methadone. It keeps you legal, you know. It's not illegal. It's legal to go to the methadone clinic and get a dose, you know. And it keeps you from using. I mean, it's basically a Band-Aid in my opinion.
With everything that we've mentioned thus far, I want to take some time and talk about some positive things for you. You know, you've mentioned to me the type of work that you do. You know, what are you capable of doing? Talk to us about some positive traits that John has.
I mean, when I'm I'm a good father, man. I take care of my son, you know, but, you know, also, I'll get to that in a minute. You said traits, like, I'm a good mechanic. I mean, I don't have no certifications. I was taught by a master mechanic as a teenager. I mean, I can tear my truck down and put it back together and be just like it came from the factory. I can diagnose anything. That's my main skill. I mean, but other than that, I'm the jack of all trades. I can paint, I can do carpentry, but I mean, that's the positive thing. I'm productive. I'm not afraid to work. I guess I'm a functional drug addict, but without the substance, you know, you don't want to do nothing. Going back to my son, you know, I can take care of him. I'm a good father to him, but with the drug addiction, they don't see that. They see me as a danger to him. And I will say this: I've never put him in harm's way. As far as I've never taken him to a drug dealer's house. I've never used drugs in front of them, but they don't see it that way. But with that out of the way, I'm a good father, but I'm not given that chance because I'm seen as an irresponsible drug addict.
Do you think your son could be enough for you to, you know, enough of a motivation for you to actually make the changes that you need to make?
Yes, he could be. And just, I got that other hump that's like, I just don't know where to start, you know. And
well, I've mentioned to you the healing place. I don't consider this a solve-all, but it is the only option that I know of. If you find something that you think would be good for you, you know, please let me know that, because I would like to help you get into something. If you need some help trying to get into a program, I'd like to see you do better.
Yeah.
With this introduction that we're doing of you, John, you know, my hope is, and I mentioned this to you before, to do a follow-up with you in a month and see where you are. Are you worse than where you are right now? Are you trying to get better, or is it just the same? You know, because it sounds like, from the little that I do know of you, it's been a lot of just the same.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, you know, I have moments where I fall down, but I get back up, but I'm basically right where I'm at. You know, nothing's gotten better, nothing's gotten worse. I just kind of stay at like ground zero, you know, and it's nowhere to be still.
You know, what is a day in the life of you like? Tell us what, you know, your days consist of, because right now this hotel room that you have is an added luxury to what you've been used to just living in your truck.
Well, I mean, I'll get up about 5:30. My methadone clinic's near the ocean front. I'll get on the interstate and go dose. I'll get a cup of coffee. If I ain't got nothing to do, I'll look on Craigslist for like a quick hustle, you know, looking for, you know, make some money for the day. That way I can eat dinner, put gas in the truck. If nothing else is going on, I'll come back here, and I'm not going to lie, I'll kick back and watch TV and just take it easy.
But that's if you've got the hotel room. Do you, normally keep this hotel room?
Well, that's what I'm doing with that. But if I ain't got that to do, I'll usually drive around a little bit if the gas is running low. This is if I don't find a job to do for the day. You know, I'll probably just park back at Walmart, kick back, and listen to the radio or just surf the web on the phone, and I'll burn up a whole pack of cigarettes out of boredom, you know. But for the most part, I try to find something to do for the day, whether it's hauling off junk. You've seen the washers in my truck. I'll take them to the scrap yard. That'll put gas in the truck. Or if somebody needs me to come help them paint, or if I find somebody that, like last week, I put an alternator on a Honda Accord for somebody.
How much did you make off of that, if you don't mind me asking?
That was a $60 job. They had the alternator. I changed it out for them. Quick $60.
And how often are you finding work on Craigslist and just odd jobs?
It's hit and miss, because Craigslist has pretty much turned into a bunch of scams here lately, you know. It's a lot of bullshit up there. I mean, a lot of people I got is word of mouth, people that know me that'll call me, you know.
You know, John, I do appreciate your willingness to talk about what's going on with you. introduce yourself to us and invite us into your life. You know, you're a guy who has struggled. You're a guy who just can't seem to get a leg up. And, you know, if I'm going to speak candidly here, it's probably completely in relation to the fact that you can't get the drugs out of your life, or you haven't been able to. But it does sound like you've got some good things that you want to get the drugs out of your life for. I look at where you're staying at right here, this hotel. This is in a horrible location in relation to, you know, a red zone. This is totally drug infested right here. So this could be a major negative thing for you, but at least you got a roof over your head.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because if it's not for this, well, then you're living in your truck.
Yeah.
But I want to wrap this up, and I want to wrap this up with one final question, and then, well, two things. The first thing I want to ask is, you know, what sort of a chance do you give yourself that in a month from now you'll be in a better place, or even in the future from now you're going to overcome this? If it was 100% that you were going to make it, you know, what chance do you give yourself that your life is going to improve?
I'm not going to lie, within a month's time, I'd probably say maybe a 25% chance. It just depends on what I can figure out, or if I can come up with something and pull the strength together to do something about it, you know?
Well, overall, what do you see your chances being?
Like, you talking about within like a year, like in a time frame, like maybe a year from now?
Yeah, let's say a year.
Probably 75% chance if I play my cards right and do actually like I want to do, you know?
Do you really want to change, though? Do you want that change for yourself?
Yes, it's just like I keep saying, it's like I don't know what to do to pull myself up or get the willpower to, you know? I want to, but it just, something keeps holding me back, you know?
I got a 9-month program right now. That's a guarantee start.
Yeah.
But again, that's a decision you make, and I'm not sitting here trying to sell you on that, but it is one thing that I know of.
Yeah.
You know, one final thing that I want to ask of you is, you know, to anybody who might be watching this video who is just beginning to dabble with the drugs or the pills or the dope, you know, what would you say to them? If you could do it all different, would you do it different? And
yeah, quit while you're ahead, because if you keep using, you're going to get physically dependent, and it's just going to lead to depression, and you're gonna f up if you keep using. Quit while you're ahead. Just stop. If you haven't become addicted already. All it takes is a week to become physically dependent. A steady week of using. Just stop it. That's all I can say. Because it's just gonna f your life up.
Well, John, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to share with us a little of you, a little of your story. And it is my hope to do a follow-up with you in a month and see where you are from here, or see where you are. And hopefully it'll be somewhere more positive, or hopefully at the very least, it won't be anywhere worse.
Yeah.
If you need any help, if you find a program, if you know you're interested in any programs, please let me know. And I would have no problem trying to help you get into something.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Well, I look forward to talking with you next month, John, and thanks for sharing your story.
All right, thank you. Well, but it could be worse. Down there, where we passed the Colonial, that place is a real rat hole.
This whole strip of hotels where John stays at is just a horrendous drug zone. I should know, because back in my day, I was at all of these hotels, including this hotel. I got chased out of here by the police many, many years ago because we just wouldn't leave, and I was little Joey Badass or some shit. But I want to show you guys this room real quick. And, you know, John, what are you paying? What do you pay for this?
You know, the guy, if you're right regular with him, he'll get you down to like $230 a week. But I haven't seen him in several months. He charged me $280 for a week.
$280 for a week here?
But if you get to know him real well, he'll cut you deals. Like I said, I paid as low as $230 a week a couple years ago. But he'll sit there and tell you if you stick around, he'll start dropping the price on you.
Well, that's at least a good thing.
Yeah.
So I want to show you guys a little bit of this room. I've never been in a hotel where the floor doesn't even have carpet in it. The floor is actually tile. And I don't know if that just makes it easier to clean or whatever, but you know, you got the tile floor, you got the AC right here, which is probably adding to the noise. Your damn light switch don't even, your cupboard ain't even all the way there. Like, this is what I really wanted to show you guys. Like, this is the dresser in this hotel. And this isn't from John. This is just what he ended up, this is the hotel that he got. I mean, that is an absolute burn mark right there. And I just imagine that that probably comes from some sort of drug use or something going on up in here. But just really crazy to see that. And then here's the bed right here. All right, so we're just leaving from meeting with John. John definitely sounds like he's got a lot of issues going on with him, but hopefully he can make some changes, and I'll look forward to trying to help him in any way that I can if he really wants some help, and getting a chance to get an update with him in a month and just see where he's at. I want to show you guys this hotel real quick. So this is where we are. Back in the day, I used to be ripping and running all up at this place right here, and this is just one of an entire strip of hotels that just are no good. I mean, really no good. A lot of police activity. Hell, I was staying at one of these hotels. I was living at one of these hotels. Wasn't even really doing drugs during this time. And I remember that the police would literally walk by with the canines just sniffing at the doors, you know, to get probable cause. But as we leave from here, you know, this is the strip. This is a drug zone. It's a really bad zone. You know, you don't got a whole lot of stuff going on down here except for seedy little hotels, a couple of little businesses, a little bit of an industrial area. But if you're trying to get clean, this definitely ain't the place to be doing it. As we continue down here, I'll show you a little bit of it. Or I don't want to say this isn't the place to be doing it, but it's not going to make it any easier for you if you are trying to get clean being in a location like this. So there's another little seedy hotel right here. Just not a good look out here. A lot of police activity, a lot of crime, a lot of drug use going on over here. And then two of the worst ones will be this next one coming up right here. That's a pretty bad one. And then the other one is back over here. Behind this trailer park, there's another really bad one as well. So, crazy. It was interesting getting a chance to meet John. You guys let me know what you think. You think this guy is gonna do right, and hopefully he will. You know, I don't wanna sit here and just, you know, showcase this man's story and have a whole bunch of people say, oh, this guy ain't never gonna do right. You know, people are out here struggling with addiction, and addiction goes hand in hand with incarceration. You know, we didn't really hear too much about John being incarcerated, but he has been incarcerated a few different times for very minimal things, driving charges. I think he told me an identity theft charge as well. But I hope that man can find the strength to get out of his own way and to actually make some real changes. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up for now. I look forward to hearing what you guys think about what we just learned of John's story, and I look forward to bringing you guys an update just as soon as we can.